First, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. And also, shout out to the Akim that's out there pushing the word, such as myself and others like me, who are coming to this truth and coming into the fold. The Gentiles that Apostle Paul was talking about, which are the Israelites who look like the other nations, aka confusion of faces. Now, what's going on now, as you can see, though, that, Esau's trying to put the chains around our necks once again. And if you look into the extra lyrics of the Star Spangled Banner, it lets you know that the white man, Esau, never planned to let you out of slavery. You're still in slavery till this day, And, we confusion of faces are just as much in slavery as the blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, because we're all one and the same. We're talking about the wheat among the tares, And, of course, the tare is Edom, Esau, the Edomites. And we're the wheat that's among the tares. You see, I am that wheat. But just happened to be among the tares. Because why? We were scattered among the nations. And so, therefore, we just happened to be among the heathen, and of course the greatest group of people for right now are the Edomites, so, and we're in that land of captivity, but point being, though, is that now our people are starting to rise up and say, oh man, I ain't going to do that, and I've had this happen within my own family, too, that, it came to my niece's graduation. And when asked to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, I continued to sit down. Why? Because I don't support what America's doing, especially in Syria and the Middle East and what it's been doing, because I'm one of the wheat among the tares. And this whole place, America, Babylon the Great, is based upon the slavery of others. And even within the national anthem itself, that they had us in slavery and never planned to let us go. That's pretty much which is the other lyrics that they don't sing out loud, but it's still within the song itself. So the song itself represents slavery and how they shall not buy us back. We will serve our sentence in the land of captivity, and no one shall buy us back. So I'm going to get into Revelation chapter 12 because we're talking about the wheat among the tares, And so we'll start in verse 1. Now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet. And of course this is talking about Yasharahla, Israel. And on her head a garland of 12 stars. That's talking about the 12 tribes of Yasharahla, Israel. Then, being with child, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 diadems on his head. And again, diadems is just another term for crowns. And this is, of course, the people that robbed us, which we now know that is talking about the UN, NATO, these countries which we came out of, which is, pretty much the EU and the UN, NATO, would later become known as, but, and a fiery dragon, okay. This is the New King James Version, so I know that, it was really a red dragon. Nonetheless, though, red representing Esau. Okay, so red dragon. So that's symbolizing the Edomites. Okay, pretty much ultimately. But in this says fiery. But when you think about red, fiery red. So I can see why this is kind of that way. But his tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman. That is we also know it as the beast as you get into Revelation 13, but thus, this dragon, it's talking about New Rome and the old Roman Empire, who was ready to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born. And this is, of course, talking about the old Roman Empire, because, when Caesar Augustus had come against us, or, wait a minute, it was Hark to Herod that had come against us, that was trying to hunt down the firstborn, ultimately to try to kill Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, before he was even conceived. That's what this is talking about. She bore a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to Yahweh and his throne. Again, this is talking about Yahweh Shai, who is of the line of the tribe of Judah. Then the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by Yahweh, and they should feed her 1,260 days, thus 3.5 years. And this is talking about how he was in the land of Egypt. It's very similar to what we're going through right now. That he was in the land of Egypt for 3.5 years. Before he would eventually end up in Bethlehem. And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought. But they did not prevail, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. Thus, this is talking about, the war that's going on, So the great dragon, So the great dragon was cast out, the serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And, you could skip down to Revelation chapter 20, verse 7. And when the 1,000 years had expired, that Satan was loosed out of his prison. That's what this is talking about. That he should go out and deceive the world, And how's he been doing this? Through the false indoctrination of Christianity, which is, of course, the worship of Cesare Borgia, who is a so-called white man, which we know that, the so-called white man is the devil, is the Edomites. Then I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now salvation and strength in the kingdom of Yahweh and the power of Hamashiach have come, for the accuser of our brethren who accused them right before Yahweh day and night has been cast down. Again, and I can give you plenty of examples of this, Let's go back to our captivity a little bit, if you will. When you were in the 501c3 church, like I was, like many of us were, and, you're starting to try to fit in with that. You're being indoctrinated with all these, you can call them falsehoods, because that's what they were. But nonetheless, though, you got, so-called, you got gossip going on there, and they're talking about you behind your back, and then going to the pastor and trying to bring dirt on you to try to humiliate you, and just to talk bad about you, to make you feel like complete shit. That's what this is talking about, our accuser, Esau, because we know the devil is Esau, the so-called white man. That's what he does, and, that's a fine example of it, but it gets worse and worse. Ooh, look what he's doing, Or they may bear a false witness against you. Oh, I caught this person stealing. That happened to me, by the way. I was home, on the verge of being homeless, but I was what you would call lost, and they just really didn't want to deal with me, because yes, I had long hair back then and a beard. I looked scruffy, because of course they say long beards are definitely scruffy, but anyhow, and they just didn't want to deal with me, so the best way to do that was to bring up a false accusation against me. Well, that lady testifies that you stole her purse. You know what I mean? So it was a false witness that had been brought against me just to keep me out. And that's what Esau does all the time, And, this is about what's to happen. Then I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now salvation and strength in the kingdom of Yahweh and the power of his Hamashiach have come for the accuser of our brethren who accused them before Yahweh day and night has been cast down, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, that they did not love their lives to the death. And that's how we overcome this devil. Esau is, of course, if you are receiving this and you are getting this and you're not saluting the flag anymore, you're not standing up for the national anthem and all that, you're an Israelite, meaning that you have victory over Esau, that you have overcome him. That, no, man, I'm not going to go back to the ways of, I'm not going to salute my fucking slave masters anymore, I'm about to get out of this bitch, America, the whore, Babylon the Great. Therefore rejoice, O heaven, and you who dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down to you having great wrath, because he knows he has a short time. And of course, that's talking about, the recent judgments that have come against Puerto Rico, Mexico, Florida, Houston, this devil, Esau, is having great wrath, and is causing these things to happen. And it's because you still dwell among the earth and the sea. You still want to stick to that plantation Christianity, and you don't want to be overcome. You don't want to overcome the devil, but you'd rather, like that Grateful Dead song, "A friend of the devil is a friend of mine." You just rather hang out with him, singing his songs in churches, Amazing Grace and all this other bullshit, and it is bullshit because of the fact that, it says quite clearly here that, Yahushua came to save his people, which are the Israelites. But, 2/3 of our people, man, they just want to hold on to plantation Christianity, but a lot of us now, a lot of them, which includes the 2/3, are waking up to this plantation, and they're starting to speak against that, like a son who recently was grabbed by his teacher because he didn't want to salute the flag. He says to pledge of allegiance to something else. Isn't that like worshiping another god? But it says, thou shalt not worship any other gods before me. And so this nation, Babylon the Great, claims to be one nation under God, which is their God, Cesare Borgia, which is the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. David Rothschild is the Cesare reincarnate. He looks just like Cesare Borgia. So to pledge an allegiance to this, standing for the flag or standing for America, is to pretty much delight in our festivities. And that's what it is to dwell among the earth and of the sea. So this woe is coming to you. Esau is coming down having great wrath. And we can see that right now. And this is just the beginning of sorrows, by the way. Now, when the dragon saw that he had been cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman, that are the Israelites. We are very much persecuted. The woman who gave birth to the male child, which that's talking about Yahushua. You see? But what do they call us? Niggers, spicks, and of course reds. When we know it's Esau who's red, aka Indians, they call us everything but Israelites. And if you're a confusion of face, man, and you don't participate in these festivals and all that, oh man, the persecution comes even worse. Because it's like, nah, man, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving. No, I don't celebrate Halloween. I don't celebrate Christmas. And guess what? Everybody's going to be coming at you. So you are the persecuted. This is talking about us. But the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for times and a half, and a time from the presence of the serpent. And again, this is when we once dwelled safely, before Esau came and wiped us out. That is the North American tribes, aka the Northern Yashala tribes, which was part of North America and South America. The Latino and Native American tribes, Northern Yashala, Israel. So the serpent spewed water out of his mouth like a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away by the flood. And what are we talking about? We've just been talking about the earthquakes, tsunamis, and these disasters that are coming, But, this is talking about how he came and he sifted us, when he overcame the tribe of Gad, overcame the truth. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened up its mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. Again, this is talking about when we once dwelled here safely, how we were once protected, but then eventually the dragon had overcome us. And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to make war with the rest of her offspring who keep the commandments of Yahweh and have the testimony of Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. And that's what's going on now. You see, this dragon, Esau, is after us, and the wheat among the tares, And so you could also call it good fruit, but, in many of the parables, it's talking about the sower of the seed, which is Yasha'Allah. But, right now what's happening in these latter-day times is that he's separating the wheat from among the tares. He's calling out the true Israelites from among the Edomites. And, there's a lot of us that look like so-called Esau. But we're not, and that's being made known. But also, on the flip side of it, you got a lot of Edomites that look like blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans who really aren't, who are really those tares. And so this calling out is happening, and we're going to know them by their fruits. That's why oftentimes, just because somebody looks like they're black, Latino, and Native American, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're an Israelite. Because quite simply put, they could be that tare, the offspring of the tares. You know somebody by their fruit. If they produce a good fruit, if they're receiving and understanding this, then they're an Israelite. But if they're arguing, contending with it, such as G-Man and others like him, with Jesus the Word, you can definitely tell that that guy's an Edomite anyways, by his appearance, but mostly by his spirit, But sometimes they don't have the appearance of being an Edomite, G-Man looks like he's an Israelite, but has the spirit of an Edomite. That's how you know the wheat from the tares, right there. And that's what this is talking about. So, again, while you might catch the rhetoric of the, against the NFL and all that, what's happening, though, is that you're starting to see that resistance, which was talked about. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, famines and pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places, for nation shall rise against nation. That's what's happening. Jacob is rising against Esau. The nation of Yasha'Allah is rising against this nation of Edom. And the main place of Edom is Idumea, which is currently Babylon the Great, the whore, America. And then you're starting to see the beast pull out. You're starting to see the beast start to come against the whore. And about to make war with her, to utterly burn her with fire, which is the thermonuclear war that we talk about. So again, those who worship the beast, whosoever shall worship the beast and his image, the same shall drink of the cup of wrath, as poured out indignation, into the cup of his indignation. Again, the cup of wrath of his indignation. Well, what is that? That is this coming destruction. Thermonuclear war, and then, of course, the fire that also come down from the chariots. And most of all, whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. That's the RFID implement that Esau wants to put into everybody, to microchip him, which is why all these man-made disasters and everything else is happening, because he ultimately wants to chip everybody, get everybody to take the chip, and so, the wheat is being separated from among the tares, and it's been happening for some time. And, that you're going to know what produces good fruit and what produces bad fruit. But, you got a lot of Edomite-looking Jakes. And you got a lot of Jake-looking Edomites. You know what I'm saying? I look like an Edomite, but clearly I'm a Jake. I claim my nationality. I reclaim the birthright. It's not Esau's birthright. Those fucking Khazars that are over there claiming themselves to be Jews, they're bastards. They're claiming to be something that they're not, you know. But most of all, though, what's happening now is that we're starting to separate ourselves from these things, you know, that we're not going to stand up for the national anthem. You know, if I am to watch a sport, including wrestling, you know, I fucking fast forward through that shit, man. I ain't gonna listen to the goddamn national anthem. Nor am I gonna watch them pay tribute to the flag, you know. Nor do I give a fuck about 9/11 or any of them other things. You know, quite simply put, we're separating ourselves. We're unplugging from the matrix, as another brother had pointed out, you know. And it's just, that's what Yahushua came to do, is to separate the wheat from among the tares. And this is just the beginning of that. Oh, it's going to get a lot worse, you can best believe that. You know. And Esau, man, he's going to be really pissed off because we're starting to show resistance to his enslavement. So I hope this has been edifying, and most of all, you know, this is just part of Esau's plan, though. But remember, the Most High controls Esau, the devil. And so this great wrath that's been coming down for quite a while is all because the wheat is being separated from the tares. And like I said, 2/3 of our people do not want to repent, which is why being judged so harshly, because the judgment begins with the house of Yasha. And so, you know, shalom, and again, hope this has been edifying.